to create your own biochemistry happen all from within. And it's not the outside world that affect how you experience your entire life journey and your destiny. It is the other way around, is that you, as the ultimate alchemist of your divine garden, remember we talk about the divine garden, having all in the subtle body, having 112 chakra, which out of this, 2 are above your head, and within your own subtle body, physical body, you can spin 108. So through the yogic tradition, is when you spin and you know how to spin those chakra, this is where you really vibrate at a different frequency. And we'll go over more in depth about this. But prior to this, let's look at it. Remember, we discussed about the vasana, which are the tendency, the samskara, the impression that forms a thought pattern that start creating habit energy. And through your habit energy, if you're not mindful and you don't gain a certain deep awareness, then your destiny has been shaped that way. So ultimately, this is the inner power that you have, beloved, is that within you, nobody can make you suffer or generate anything, because ultimately you have it in you. So the Maharishi, they talk a lot about different principle and law of nature. And one of them we have discussed in Becoming the Light, and we will cover a little more again here in the program, is the principle that governs the universe. Remember, maybe some of you are already familiar with it, but now I'll give you a different perspective on that, in the sense how you can vibrate at a higher frequency energy level. So the 3 gunas, there are qualities that dominate the entire cosmos, and all living beings, including us human beings, especially us in particular, we are all been governed by it. And it's when you become aware of them and you ask this question, which one that really dominate my life, which one that really govern and rule my life? Because the secret is, in order to vibrate higher in your divine garden, remember you're gardener too. As we spoke, it's wonderful being a gardener, because you have incredible power when you are a gardener. You could blossom the most amazing garden, and as long as you know how to do it, and then you do it, and diligently doing it mindfully and gracefully, and you develop the art, with experience you learn. So the 3 gunas, ask yourself those questions. Which one dominate my life? Which one that governs me the most? How can I increase my Satvic nature? Because ultimately that's the solution, that's the secret. And I have discovered that throughout so many lifetimes of being on the spiritual path and having a phenomenal spiritual kundalini ascension in this one. So much grace, and feeling so deeply humble and blessed that I can share that with you. So let's go briefly about the gunas, even though you might be familiar with them, but stay open and listen, because you will gain a new perspective on that. Because when you look at the gunas, the first one that dominates is tamas, based on the principle of inertia. And then inertia like sleeping, we talked about that in the program. And then there is, because it's not one that is higher than the other one, or one is more important than the other one. They are equally important. But when you are on the spiritual path, the one that you really want to increase is the Satvic nature. And so tamas is like really when you're really ruled by sleeping, inertia. And we don't need to go into all the details, since there is another video on the subject where I really go into a lot of deeper detail on what they are. But just to remind you, and then there is the principle of Raja, based on being ruled by action. And when someone is very much into a doer, doing a lot of things and constantly being ruled by doing action. And then there is Satvic. The Satvic guna is about, based on the principle of lucidity. So lucidity is how you see things with an enhanced perception, to see things with clarity. Anything that is lucid, that is conducive for deep meditation. Meditation is Satvic. So is being on the spiritual path, all the sadhana, the spiritual practices, eating a diet that is Satvic, which we're going to go briefly on that subject. So you see, the reason why I'm sharing this this three guna principle is that now we're going to look at the sheaths. The sheaths, they are enveloped into the subtle body. And in the yogic tradition, the Maharishi discovered that we go into all the details about the subtle body in the program. So, but we'll discuss a little bit a different angle now, so you will understand something with a different perception on that. Remember, the first one of the sheaths in the subtle body, they're like envelope, so to speak. And they're not tangible. It's not like you can see it. We can look at them as bodies. So the first one is Annamaya kosha. So Annamaya kosha, everything is made out of food. So, because our body, what we drink and eat, create this body, which is made out of 5 elements. So the Annamaya kosha has a huge impact on all the other sheaths, and this is what you need to remember. The first three envelopes are the most important, in the sense they build a strong foundation to experience the Vishvayana Maya kosha and the Ananda Maya kosha. So Annamaya kosha, the body, physical body, what you eat. You know, there's the saying, you are what you eat. In so many ways, so true, because nutrition is not to eat just for taste, it's to eat for nutrient. But one very aspect is to eat to vibrate, and because food has a vibration too. And this is where it comes when Devi Ma talk about walking from alertness through mindfulness and gaining deep awareness. And here is the deep awareness, and that is that food is a substance that vibrates. Whatever you eat either will bring you at a lower frequency of energy or in a higher frequency of energy. So if you eat the Satvic diet, like raw food, especially organic, vegan, raw, I'm not going to tell you what to eat. It's up to you, beloved, how you want to vibrate, how you want to experience your Satchitananda experience life at a new, different level and tapping into the beyond. But if you're serious about vibrating higher, then looking at the physical body with this perspective through the yogic tradition is excessively important. And through my journey with cancer, it was primordial, because to keep the body alkaline, and eating a lot of, the more you eat the better, I mean raw organic food. But it's hard. I know it's hard for most people, but even if you have only 50% of your diet that is raw organic, it's because it's full of life, energy, of prana. Now, the deep awareness of food is when you eat a diet that is the diet of dizzy, which I call, that brings so many, you can see that, I'm not making this up, it's all over in the news, there's so many books on the subject. You know, the diet, a sedentary diet with a lot of sugar, alcohol, and eating animals in particular, that brings heart attack, cancer, and diabetes. So the deep aspect of this, beloved, is that when you eat animal, they vibrate too. So think about it. When they go to the slaughtering houses, they have fears, they have hatred, they have anger, they have frustration. You can go to a slaughterhouse and see how they are. Animals do have emotion, and they do vibrate, and they release hormone too into their body temple. So when they are going through the slaughtering process and still are conscious, what you see in so many videos I have seen, it's inevitable. Those animals will bring a lower frequency into their body temple, what they leave behind. So if you eat this on a constant basis, because it's very acidic too, it will definitely keep your body temple vibrate at a lower frequency. So that's the deep inside here. If you want to vibrate higher, eating and what you're doing, also blessing your food and feeling grace and blessing all living beings when you eat, touching you, not just above it. The same thing with water and whatever liquid also. I talk about that in depth in Becoming the Light in my major book, because it's that crucial. Water, any liquid, has a memory. And so if you bless everything and you drink it, you bring this beautiful higher frequency energy into your body temple, into your subtle body as well. So that's the first envelope. The second envelope is the Mana Maya Kosha, or you could say Mano Maya Kosha. It's the lower part of the mind, not the intellectual part, the part of the mind that is more, the one that is impossible to control. If you try to control this, is the jabbering, what keeps the memory going, what keeps the self-talk, the jabbering, not the intellectual part, the lower part, because in the yogic tradition there is such a thing. They're different, and this is where it keeps recording, you know. And so what I started here in this satsang is that in this video, that if you try to train your mind, it's not enough. It's a big part, it's important, but because the karma structure is so strong, and sometimes it's there for so many lifetimes, and it's recorded really deep, it's like a programming. It's very hard to change the software. So in my experience and what I have discovered, and also what was downloaded in channel, I can see very clearly that just training the mind is not enough. Making a distance with the mind is absolutely crucial. Both are important through what we're discussing right now. And when you do the two together, it's very empowering. You train your mind, as we spoke, in mastering yourself. And then you also learn how to make a distance, and we'll go more into this very shortly. So just remember that. So the third one, envelope or body, you could call it the prana maya kosha, the energy body. That is a very important one, because your energy affects a lot of things about yourself. And the other way around too, you know, the way you think, the way you go about your life will affect your emotion. You know, your words, your action will affect your emotion. Your emotion affect your mana maya kosha, your lower mind. And then it will affect your energy too. So those are the three one. The first, this is the foundation. And so we said with the physical body, the solution is to eat a high vibrancy diet that is filled with life force energy, vegan preferably, or vegetarian. And the second aspect of the mana kosha is to learn how to make a distance with the mind, and that is done, the solution is done with sadhana, spiritual practices, especially pranayama, and especially within the pranayama, the kriya, remember, kriya, action, you work with the breath, with the prana, life force energy, and that what helps to, and meditation too, of course, it helps make a distance. And this is where you really can see the result. Because remember, yoga is a science and you can test it on yourself. So you make that distance through sadhana. And when you do intense sadhana, it brings about purification. Purification of kundalini ascension, which we will talk in an upcoming video about more in depth, and I'll share a little bit my story about kundalini ascension. So you train your mind, as we spoke, in mastering yourself, and then you learn how to make a distance. What I mean learning is actually, it's not that you learn. If you are initiated in a powerful yogic practice, such as, for instance, Siddha Satchit Kriya meditation, it will help bring about some purification, and it's done in a way it's safe because it requires certain preparation. That will really help, because you start learning how to vibrate your garden, your 108 chakra. So those three bodies, sheaths, maya kosha, they're a fundamental basis. And then in order to experience the Vishvayana maya kosha, which I call it the cosmic mind, the ether, where everything is there. And to access that, because as a yogi and a yogini, when you start realizing and a lot of purification happen, you start getting rid of a lot of the recording. That's why when you do both way, and you have the mindful practices, the tool that are important into becoming the light, this program, even though they're subtle, they are effective, because you start gaining deeper awareness, revelation, and insight. So through a strong, clear foundation of how to find solution in each of the other three body, you can start experiencing direct, because there your intelligence doesn't work anymore. It's you go beyond, you transcend. There is a transcendence that take place. I have experienced that so many times, and this is where you could say that where all experiences happen. You know, you could go in all kind of different samadhi, because it's, in other words, like your mind does not exist anymore. You have transcended it. You go straight into experiencing what is the cosmic mind. And then comes Ananda Maya Kosha, what the Maharishi, all the ascended master, talked for thousands of years. Satchit Ananda, our true divine nature. This is where you start really experiencing divine grace in all its glory. And so, and then you know really who you are, because the reality is not nothing. It's not like a miracle, because the reality, the miracle is we all have it inside of us. It's just a matter of being able to go straight to that. And it's hard for someone who has a very strong mind, who's very logical. That's why when Devi Ma talks about from alertness to mindfulness to deep awareness, here you see through the eye of the yogic tradition with all the Maya Kosha, all the different body, how to bring about those solutions. And I'm sure some of you already are working on that, maybe in a very, very big way. And so, because remember, your words, the way you train yourself, it takes mindfulness, right? To become aware of your breath and become aware of your thoughts. And when you start having a deep awareness of it, then it will change your words, it will change your action, it will change your decision about your life. It will affect your entire biochemistry of how you feel about yourself and your emotion, and therefore it affects your energy. The same way through sadhana of making a distance with your mind, through sadhana and kriya, then your energy's been changed, because you made a real distance. And there is such a thing as making a distance. I can tell you that from my own experience of so many lifetimes on this path. And today, what has occurred in this lifetime, I can only really bow down, and it's been beyond words, experiencing so many mystical experiences of the beyond and remembering lifetime. And it used to be a time I didn't believe in a reincarnation, when I remember when I was much younger. And I can tell you today, there's no doubt reincarnation really happened. So you see, beloved, through the eyes of the yogic tradition, how you can vibrate. So it's up to you. It's another dimension for you that maybe you are aware, maybe you're not. And hopefully you'll have some revelation from this knowledge. You see, when you're vibrating at a higher level through the yogic tradition, in the sense of all the different aspects we talk about, and even when kundalini ascension takes place, which we're going to go in that, you can rewire your entire body temple. You rewire your entire brain, and you start seeing things with clarity, with perception, and your memory is sharp and clear. One aspect I didn't mention, and it's very important when we were talking about the mana maya kosha, another solution which is extremely important is nada yoga. Nada yoga, which we have a meditation here. It's been taught here in Becoming the Light Mastery program. the sound has a vibration, all kind of vibration, low to high vibration. Mantra are beyond mathematical sound, which a sound has a form. Remember, we went over that. So when you practice Nada Yoga, you really lose yourself into the sound of a mantra. You become that mantra. And it rewires the brain. It helps to completely rewire. And all of these things put together start changing the software, start changing the recording. But most importantly, when you go through a Kundalini ascension, when the Divine Mother comes, purified all the karmic structure, getting rid of all the garbage, that's the ultimate, because it will clear out years of recording, that memory that's accumulated, that has been driving your life, often without being conscious of it. And this is where you start really vibrating on a complete level. Completely, and you feel it in your body temple. You feel the vibration. And so with mantra, you could consecrate your body temple through mantra. And it's done through radiating the light program, learning more how to go there with certain mantra. Each mantra will have a certain effect on your being. As for my being, it's like mantra. There's always a mantra going on, always. It's like even when I close my eyes, I can still hear certain mantra. It's constantly vibrating. So that will still your mind. This is when we still the mind. You see, when the mind is still, it's like the moon reflecting upon a river. You can see the whole moon reflecting. And it's the same here when you transcend the mind. This is where you meet that distance. And then you can really tap into the cosmic mind of the divine, our creator. And then going deeper, according to all the Maharishi, they all have agreed that the Ananda Maya Kosha is the ultimate bliss. It is the divine itself within our own being. What we talk about in Becoming the Light Mastery program in this, about the blue pearl that is inside of us, that contain the whole cosmos, is right here, and all divinity within, and ultimately our creator. So I remember, I will love to share with you when I went to Kedarnath temple. It was in 2016. Maybe some of you have heard about Kedarnath temple. It's one of the 12 Linga Jyoti. Jyoti means light, temple of Shiva. And this one, the Kedarnath temple, is located very high up in the Himalaya. I'm not sure of the altitude, and it's quite a journey going there, because you cannot take a car. You have to climb the Himalaya, and it takes over 8 hours to go all the way up. And that temple was built by Adi Shankara. It was like over 2,000 years ago, when I think Gautama Buddha was still alive. They were about at the same time alive on the planet. Adi Shankara was the father of Advaita Vedanta, of non-dual philosophy, and he was a beautiful, deep devotee of Shiva, himself. Shiva was considered the Lord of yoga, self-realization. For many of the yogi and the yogini, we revere him because he brought the science of self-realization, of enlightenment. And it is truly a science, because there's no doubt you can experience it on yourself. And so with vigilant and patience and perseverance and the right direction too. So here we were in 2006. It was during the monsoon, and it was, oh my God, monsoon is very dangerous. There's no tourists. I was the only tourist at the time. And I'm sharing you the story because it's quite a blessing to go there. If you haven't gone to Kedarnath temple, I highly suggest that you go, because talk about a place where you're going to vibrate intensely. And that's what happens when you go in trance. You vibrate into such a dimension, and a transcendence takes place that goes beyond the physicality of this world. And it took 5 days for us to be able to go. We were staying in a beautiful, very simple little hotel there, Kashipuri, I think it was very nearby. We had to wait because the monsoon was so strong and you couldn't climb. And even while we were driving up the Himalaya, at one point there was a big mountain slide, and it happened a lot there in the Himalaya during the monsoon. Oh, it happened like a couple of minutes before we were driving, and the road was really challenging. And I remember that night we slept in the car because we couldn't continue our journey to go to Kedarnath temple. And that following morning they brought dynamite, they had to explode the whole road, this area, and we had to wait another day to get there. And like I said, when we arrived at that little hotel, Kashipuri, something like that. It was nearby. It's very high altitude. And finally, when we arrived in Kedarnath temple, and then we were there for puja. And puja is another extremely important part in the yogic tradition, especially if you are involving tantra into your practice, which I feel like it's very crucial. But a part of bhakti will have tantra. And we talk about that, as you know, in Becoming the Light. And part of Tantra has bhakti too. So they almost go hand in hand. So doing offering to a deity or to the divine in the impersonal form is very high energy vibration. And so at Kedarnath temple, we were by the linga. And I actually got spiritually married there at the time with my husband, who is Indian, my beloved husband and divine love. And it was so auspicious because we were there with a pundit, and puja was done by the pandit, the priest, and it was so powerful. It was a puja of Shiva Shakti. And for an hour, no one was in the temple. It was only the three of us by the lingam. And it's natural, it's a rock. It's a phenomenal place. You feel the energy of Shiva there so strongly. And I went into such a deep trance throughout the 3 days we were there. Each time I was in the temple. But when the pandit did, and we did he performed the puja, Shiva Shakti, and he was marrying us spiritually. We walk around the linga. No one was there until we were about to leave for an entire hour. It was magical. And so the reason why I'm sharing the story is that going into pilgrim and going to different temple, you go to temple not to pray, but to inhale, to take in the vibration. If you open as the blue sky and you allow the divine to come through, you will start vibrating at a very high, intense. And then when you go intense, also you feel the vibration. So Kedarnath temple was a phenomenal trip. 3 days there, and we went so many times for different ceremony, puja. Today, I can say my body, I maintain my body temple. I have learned in many ways how to do this intuitively and also intellectually, but through my own journey. And there is such a way of doing that, to maintain it so that you are a walking linga, and a tool or a walking deity that you vibrate that divine energy. So you see, beloved, through all what we're sharing, there's many ways to bring about a mastery of yourself. Remember, there is from this way and there's from this way. That way is through training your mind, which will affect all the other things we talked. That require alertness through mindful practices to deep awareness. And there's from this side, which comes from the yogic tradition, from sadhana, from meditation, and then also how you go about to bring about a Satvic, to increase your Satvic life, to be fully mindful of how is my Satvic right now? Do you meditate regularly? Do you do your sadhana? What do I eat? What is my energy habit? Most people are unable to do this because they're not equipped at all the different levels like you are right now going into this. And some of you are already in the path for quite some time, and you know already some of the things that Devi Ma talks about. But through this, there might be a new realization inside for you. So this is how you go into mastering yourself at all levels.